Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. Today I'm going to tell you a story about a young man and his friends. The story is true. Some of the things, again, you know how I do, y'all. I change up a little bit here and there because I don't want to give away too much of their personal lives about where they're from, what school they may have gone to, and their real names, those types of things, right? Because I respect the hustle. I respect that they've changed, but they want to share these stories in a way that can shed light on the real deal. A lot of times when people involved in the dope game talk about what they do, they talk about, the getting in, the hustling, the partying, the kicking it. But you never really hear the things that go on in their daily lives that affect the way they think and how they become the people that they become. In this episode, in this story, I'm going to be talking about this young man that wanted all of that. He wanted that lifestyle. And the opportunity presented itself for him to be everything that he wanted to be, that drug dealer. So I'm going to give him the microphone, so to speak. I'm going to assume this role. I'm going to assume his personality, his character. This story is going to be told in the first person's point of view, from his point of view. And I hope that you enjoy it. I call this story, this series, Fooled by the Game. So with that said, welcome to the first episode of Fooled by the Game. My name is Craig. When I turned 16, my friends and I, Reggie, Larry, and Bobby, we all decided that we were not going to be poor like everybody else in our neighborhood, like everybody else in our families. All of our families were working class people. My mother and father both worked hard, but had little to show for it. My mother worked 12-hour shifts at the local motel, and my father was a janitor at the high school. We didn't own the house that we lived in, the car, or anything else for that matter. My parents were a part of the working poor in this country. They were proud people. They saw no problem in what they were doing. At least they didn't let me know. They didn't let me know that they had a problem with the situation that we were in, the lifestyle that we had. But I had a problem with it. I saw my parents work hard every day with little to show for it. I saw how being broke all the time affected my parents. My mother drank all the time, and my father was always working on some new idea that was going to make us rich. I remember my mother always yelling at him for wasting money on his dumb ideas. In turn, he verbally abused my mother. They always made up in the end, but how they acted stuck with me. I loved them both, but I didn't want what they had. I wanted what I saw from the people I saw in the streets. Every time I saw them, they were always laughing and kicking it. They were always happy and having fun. I wanted that. So when my friends approached me about buying some dope and selling it, I was all in. We had all been working after school jobs, so we had a little money saved up. Together we had a total of $800. Reggie, one of my partners, he had a cousin that sold dope, so he said he would talk to him and see what we could get for $800. Reggie's cousin sold us an ounce for $800. Normally, it would cost about $1,200, but he wanted to help us out. We got 7 grams each. We got 5 $20 pieces from each gram. We all had 35 rocks apiece. We posted up and went to work. Within 1 hour, we had all sold out. We all made $700. That was the first piece of real money I had ever had in my life. $700. That $700 made me want to get more and more. And as we walked home, we decided to invest $400 apiece to re-up. This time, Reggie's cousin sold us 2 ounces for the $1,600. Before we left, he sat us down to ask us what our plans were. Up to this point, we had never really given it much thought. All we knew was that we didn't want to be poor anymore. We didn't want to have to think about not being able to buy this or not being able to go see a movie. We didn't want to have to go to our parents or our grandparents and ask for money and be told that I don't have it, or you need to do some chores, or you need to go and get a job. We didn't want to hear any of that, because what we were seeing is that it didn't produce anything. He looked at each of us and said, if you really want to get some money, you're going to have to start working more than an hour a night. And you're going to need to be having more product. You're going to need more product. Now, as he continued to talk to us, we were fascinated by it because he was giving us the game. We knew from what we saw from the people in the streets that if we did what he was talking about, we could have what they had. When we looked at our parents and the people in our neighborhood and we saw them working, we didn't want what they had because it was nothing. But these guys, these people had something. And it attracted us. It pulled us to them. That's when we really jumped all the way off the porch and into the streets. Reggie's cousin provided us with all the dope we could sell. For every ounce that we bought, he would front us one. It wasn't long before we were individually making $12,000 a week and moving a half a kilo apiece. We came up fast in the game. Keep in mind, we were young, 16, and we had money. We had more money than our parents, more money than the people in our neighborhoods had. There was no turning back. My parents had no idea I wasn't going to school. As far as they knew, every morning I got up, ate breakfast, and went off to school. Except I didn't. We would all meet up at Reggie's cousin's house and do what we do. Reggie thought he was the mastermind because he was the one who came up with the idea to start selling dope. Plus, his cousin was our supplier. Larry, my other friend, he was the smart one. He talked about, saving money while the rest of us were spending money. He was talking about investing in stocks, investing in real estate. At that age, he really didn't know the details of the game, but he was already thinking about tomorrow. Bobby, our other friend, he was the crazy one. He not only spent his money on clothes and girls, he also spent a lot of money on guns. A lot of money on guns. One night, he spent $5,000 buying guns from smokers. As they came up to him with the guns, he would give them money or dope. Most of the time, dope. But that's how he liked to get down. Me, I just saved my money. I had a plan, but I didn't really know how I was going to execute it. So until I learned all that I needed to learn, I just saved my money. I was trying to make enough money so I could live better than my parents. Yeah, I liked the clothes and the girls, but I was saving most of my money. I didn't have a bank account, so all of my money was hidden in my room where nobody could find it, not even my parents. We sold our dope during the week without drawing any suspicion from our parents. None at all. So when you talk about parents not knowing what their kids are doing, it's possible. We did it. The teachers at our school didn't care that we weren't there. Not once did they say anything to our parents. It was a little harder to sell dope on the weekends because we were out of school and our parents didn't work on the weekend. So we would all meet up at the mall and then we would hit the block. We still put on like we were teenagers doing what we do, but we were men in the streets at this point. We didn't notice that we were learning how to deceive and lie to people in a masterful way because we had an agenda. And what we wanted to do, if our parents knew, they would have shut us down. So for 8 months, we had no problems at all until one day a car full of students pulled up from our school to the spot to buy some dope. They didn't know our names, but they recognized us. They started acting all friendly like they knew us because, we went to the same school. Like, for whatever reason, we were friends or something, But we didn't kick it with them, but we knew that they went to our school. I knew that they were going to be a problem. I knew it. Because up until this point, nobody noticed that we were not at school to the extent that we mattered. We wasn't basketball players, football players. We wasn't athletes. We wasn't in the tops of the class as far as academics. We were invisible to everybody except the smokers. After that day, we saw them every day. Every day. It got so bad that one of the girls that came with them, she didn't have any money, so she offered to give me some head in exchange for some dope. I did. I told her to get out of the car, and we went to the side of the building. It was broad daylight. Even though we were on the side of a building, people could still see us. She didn't care. She just kept asking me if it was good and that if she liked my dick in her mouth. That was my first blowjob, but not my last. Every day, more and more students from our school were coming through to buy dope. More and more students. Instead of us being spooked by this, we saw it as an opportunity. Our school, it had about 900 students in it. We thought that if we could get everybody in the school smoking crack, we could make a lot of money. Think about that. Our minds were so twisted at that early age because of the money that we were making so fast that we were like, let's turn all of them out. Let's turn all of them out. Let's get that money. Turn them all out. We didn't understand the change that was taking place on the inside of us. We were becoming hardened. We were becoming that type of person that didn't care about another human being. We wanted more and more money, no matter the cost. So we went back to school. At first, it was great. We were making a lot of money. Plus, we ran the school. All of a sudden, people knew who we were. They saw us. Everybody wanted to be around us. We were so popular, we could have any girl we wanted. I even had a few teachers giving me head in exchange for dope. Think about that. Some of the teachers. Some of the teachers were getting high. But when you're as young as we were, you think that you got it made when you experience stuff like that. We had no idea. We had no idea how much damage we were causing. But we would soon find out. This concludes episode 1 of Fooled by the Game. Thank you for listening to episode 1 of Fooled by the Game. In this episode, I wanted to paint a clear picture of the rationale that most people use to justify their beginnings of a criminal lifestyle. Teaching your child the value of hard work can't be taught just by them watching you. I know we like to believe that, but it's just not true. They are left to their own devices when it comes to that. They only can understand to the capacity that they are able to understand and to rationalize. And to leave all of that to a child to figure out and then conclude in the right way is unfair to the child. They will be bombarded by influences from TV, from the streets, many, many more influences than what you can do if you are hands off in that. It's during that time that their worldview is shaped, and you have to be more involved. So don't take for granted that the values you want to instill in your child will take root. Sit down and talk to them about it. Give them examples of why it's important to work, have a good work ethic, earn a living, save money, invest money, good ways, not negative ways. Explain that to them, because if you don't, somebody else will explain to them in a way that will contradict the values that you want to instill in them. If you leave their understanding of life to their own capacity to understand, they will conclude most of the time in a way that you didn't intend for them to conclude. So don't get mad at them when they do. Yes, when you have to be patient with them to try to help them overcome that. Where is your responsibility? Again, I'm not blaming parents. I'm blaming anybody. What I'm saying is get more involved in a different way than what we do. If you see that it's not working, why are we continuing to do it? We have to be more involved early on. Not when they're 7 and 8. But if you're in a situation where they are that age or older, be patient with them. Talk to them about what morals and values are. Talk to them about what gratitude is. Get these things drilled into them. Because then and only then will they start to understand. Then and only then will they start to understand. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.